welcome back to the Grow with Cara show. Today, we continue our interview series with successful attorney marketers. We're taking a close look at what's working, what's not, the specific steps these attorneys took to get to where they are. And remember, these are simple steps that you too can follow to get on a similar path to growth. Okay, let's get right to it. Today, our special guest is attorney John Fisher. John is the owner and founder of John H. Fisher PC, where he limits his practice to catastrophic injury law for victims in New York State. But John is first and foremost an entrepreneur. He was selected as the National Marketer of the Year by Great Legal Marketing, and he's the author of the book, The Power of a System, which includes specific how-to steps to grow a multi-million-dollar personal injury firm. We're super excited to learn from him today. Thanks so much for being here. Welcome, John.
Oh, I'm thrilled. Thank you for all of your work for our profession. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. So to begin, John, tell us a little about your story. Why did you launch the firm all those years ago?
Oh, well, June 2nd, 2010 is the date that I got called into a partners meeting at my old firm where I'd worked my whole career, about 14 years, and I didn't see it coming that day. And so there were two senior partners who sat down from me and just explained, today we're parting ways with you, John. And I'm like, uh-oh, what do I do now? I've got a wife and 3 little kids, and I've got no idea how to run or manage a law firm. So I was really out on the street with no clue on what to do. And so in law school, no one had ever taught me how to run a law firm. And when I worked for a firm for my whole career, no one taught me there how to manage and market a law firm. So I was out on the street with no idea. And what I decided to do was just start writing down policy by policy systems for the law firm. And so I started writing, and over the course of 2.5 years, I wrote a lot of just different systems that I either had or should have for the law firm from everything. It could be marketing, it could be management, you name it, everything. I assembled it all into one thing, and it was the technical, managerial, and the marketing policies for running a multi-million-dollar personal injury law firm. I put it into a book. The publisher said it's way too much content. I said, I don't care, take all of it. And it became a book that's called The Power of a System, which is right here. So The Power of a System was my first book. And it's got, if you were to read it, you'd say, well, wait a minute. That seems like it's your office manual. Well, essentially it is. It is our office manual. It's got everything that we do internally. So no matter what happens at our firm, any one of our team could look to this book as a guide on what to do. So it is pretty cool. And then I started a website that's called fisherpedia.com that has all of the policies and systems that we have. And right now we've got about 400 policies. Anyone could go into that. If they email me, jfisherlawyer@gmail.com. Fisher is Fisher. jfisherlawyer@gmail.com. If they email me, I will share with them the access to Fisherpedia, the password, and it's all of our policies. So whenever we have something that's new, we're training someone in Colombia right now for our law firm to do our case management. And the person has a legal background, but doesn't know anything about American law. So I started writing down, here's how an overview of the American legal system. Wow. Here's what medical malpractice is. Here are the 9 steps that we do in litigation that to get a lawsuit from beginning to end. So step by step, the processes. And we put that into Fisherpedia to help our team, but also to help educate other people who are coming to work with us so they'll know how we do things. And then I wrote another book that came out a year ago called The Law Firm of Your Dreams, 500-page book, all of our best policies for marketing and managing a law firm. We put it all together, we gave it away. And my former partners, when they knew I was writing a book, they said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would you just give everything away? And much like you do, it's sort of like, number one, no one else is doing this. So why not just give it all away? Take what you know, give it away, give it a resource. 98% of the people aren't going to do anything about it anyway. So it really doesn't matter. But the reality is if someone does, I would love it because if it helps their law firm even a little bit, the most gratifying thing I get from we run a national mastermind here called Mastermind Experience. And one of the nice things is I used to think that it'd be cool to make a little extra money, to learn from other high achieving attorneys. And I realized none of that really was the reason for doing the mastermind. It was really to see young attorneys take what we were doing, put it into practice, and develop amazing law firms. And that is the greatest gratification that I get from the mastermind experience, is seeing others succeed. So it really hasn't been any personal benefit to me other than the gratification of seeing others succeed. So that's really been it. And if there was one thing that I've learned in running a law firm, it's that from a marketing point of view, is that when you ask other attorneys, what is the number one source of your best cases, highest quality cases, about 80 to 90% of them will say referrals. Yeah. It's not the internet. The internet will send you on occasion, but it's very sporadic that you'll get a high quality case off the internet. And in the world of catastrophic personal injury, the reason for that is very few people, if they're paralyzed, brain damaged, or they're blind, are just going to go on the web and find someone. Now, that does happen, but it's not that common. No. More likely, they're going to reach out to a friend or their general attorney and say, can you recommend somebody? So for the biggest cases, generally are referrals. And 80 to 90% of attorneys will say their best cases come from referrals. Then if we break it down, where are the referrals coming from? About half of them will say from their former or present clients. The other half will say attorneys. So for attorneys, you say, okay, so roughly 40, 45% of lawyers out there, their best cases come from lawyers. The next question you'd ask them is, what system do you have for acquiring and nurturing new leads from other attorneys? Yep. And you won't see a single hand go up. There's not a single person who gets these leads. And I'm thinking, okay, you're getting your best cases from other lawyers, yet you don't have a system or a policy for nurturing and acquiring leads from other attorneys. That's an enormous mistake. Right. And they will say to me, yeah, but we just do good work. Doing good work is the norm. Everyone assumes that you're going to do a good job, but where can you differentiate yourself from everyone else? And it really comes down to one simple thing: communication. If you communicate with your referring attorneys better than anyone else is doing, then they will reward you by referring more cases. Yeah. So your communication separates you. Even if you don't accept any of the referrals, the communication earns credibility with your referring attorneys, and they'll say, hey, I know what's going on with this case. John Fisher, he updates me all the time. No one does it better than the Fisher Law Firm in updating us about the status of a case. Now, maybe we haven't accepted one of the referrals in years, but it doesn't matter because we're continually updating them. Just before we got on this call, I was calling a referring attorney and telling him, I just reviewed the medical records. Here's the reason why we're not taking the case. And then I'll summarize it in an email. And if you think, what is the highest and best use of your time that you do every day? For me, it's updating referring attorneys on the status of a referred case. That's the best thing I do, because by doing that, I'm guaranteeing that the next case that they have to refer is going to come to our law firm. So what I did when I started, I got fired and I was scrambling and nervous wreck, not knowing what I'm going to do to put food on the plate for my 3 little kids and my wife. I thought, well, I'm going to start drafting a policy for acquiring and nurturing lawyer referrals. And I think that I can tell you 100% of our marketing dollars go into marketing for lawyer referrals. That is our policy. And if somebody comes to me and says, we're going to put you on the back page of a magazine, and they'll say, oh, that's for free. And I'm like, so I'll go to my marketing guy and he'll be like, no, we're not doing that, because you're going to spend $200 or $300, with the graphic design and, do whatever. And he says, so we're not doing that, period. 100% of our marketing budget goes into nurturing and acquiring lawyer referrals. Wow. And there is a specific documented system that we have for doing this. So yeah, I think that makes us unique.
Yeah. That absolutely does. Yeah, let's get into the nuts and bolts of that a little bit, John, because that's a big part of what I wanted to cover today. So tell us, what is your communication and your follow-up like? What does the system and policy look like when we're talking about generating and nurturing those referrals from other attorneys?
Well, first of all, our firm has 527 referral partners. So if you ask me at any time, how many referral partners, not a former client, it's a lawyer who refers us at least one case every 5 years. And some lawyers, it is one case every 5 years, but some of them it's every week. And so now here's the thing, 527, you'd say, well, how on earth do you stay top of mind with 527 referring attorneys? Well, you can't, except for one thing. We do, since 2010, I've done a monthly print newsletter called Lawyer Alert. Lawyer Alert is about our best tips for marketing and managing a law firm. And we put our best material in there, but it's also about other things. Like it's about my health and fitness. It's about financial management. It's about everything. I share everything out there. I put photographs of my wife and my kids. I do everything. Every single month it goes out. And so those 527 referral partners are getting a print newsletter every single month since 2010. Now, how do I stay top of mind? The newsletter keeps me top of mind with the referring attorneys, because if you would say to me, what's your number one marketing asset? It's not our websites. I think we have about 8. It's not websites. It's not it's not gimmicky. It's simply print newsletter. And we do an email newsletter every week as well, not nearly as effective as a print newsletter. Why? Because I've just seen that lawyers will say to me, I keep a binder of all of your newsletters, and every so often I'll go back and look at them because the content is so good. And so that's what we do. We just constantly write email newsletters, print newsletters, and we stay top of mind. Like if you were asking me of our 5-point system for communicating with referral partners, the monthly print newsletter, and you might say, lawyers try this and it doesn't work for them. And I'll say like, okay, how long have you been trying it? And they'll be like, 4 months.
Right.
And I'll be like, 4 months?
Right.
4 months, it doesn't work for anything. So you're wasting your time trying a newsletter for 4 months. But if someone were to say to me, have you tried it for at least a year? Oh, no. What about 2 years or 3 years? Because with any form of marketing, consistency is the most important thing. And even if your marketing stinks, it doesn't matter if it's consistent. So consistency, what does that mean? If you had a weekly, let's say a quarter-page ad in your local newspaper, and you did it for a year, you probably wouldn't see much results. Do it for 2 years and you'll be like, I'm starting to get results. Do it for 3 years and your phone is ringing off the hook with a crappy ad that goes in your newspaper every week. So does that ad cost much? No, maybe 10 grand a year. But the reality is, if it's done consistently, any form of marketing will work. So the best form of marketing, it's person to person, one-on-one. If somebody asks me to speak at an event, I'll go. And I'll always go there because they're elevating you to the status of a star by speaking at their event. They're giving you an endorsement, and you're connecting one-on-one with other attorneys who can refer you work. So if they ask me to speak in Arkansas or Wyoming, which I've done both, that I'm going. I'm going because I love to travel. I love to meet new people, and I love interacting. And it will start new relationships with other people who join the mastermind. Our mastermind has over 200 members. They refer work to our firm. And it's just sort of a way of connecting one-on-one. So Dan Kennedy once said that no form of marketing is better than another. I completely disagree with that. It's absolutely not true. One-on-one personal marketing. So if you would say, if there's one thing a lawyer could do and they're just starting out, they have no money, what should they do? Well, they should start scheduling a weekly lunch date with a prospective referral partner, a lawyer, every week. Or let's say they're getting their best cases from chiropractors or whoever. Okay, that's good that it's a chiropractor. Now let's start scheduling weekly lunch dates with chiropractors. And you're not going to actually do any of that work. You're going to hire someone. My firm, we have a client care advocate in Iowa who schedules all my meetings. I'm not involved in scheduling stuff, and I don't want to be involved. I simply want to show up at the lunch date. And if you break bread with another attorney, what they're going to do at the end of the meeting is they're going to say, I've got about 3 or 4 cases that have been sitting on my desk, and I was thinking about referring them to this other law firm. But since we're here, why don't we just work it out? And they'll start referring it. Breaking bread with another attorney is the best thing you can do. And it really doesn't cost much of anything, but no one's doing it. So, that's sort of a grassroots thing that I do. I place an emphasis, and I every single week, and sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, I'm going to lunch dates with other attorneys.
Yep.
It's just a very powerful way of building that relationship.
So at least weekly lunches with potential referral sources. Keep in touch, nurture those, cultivate those relationships with a print newsletter. So to be clear, this is a newsletter that is geared specifically toward referring attorneys. This isn't your general past client newsletter, right? I want to be
Absolutely.
clear about that.
One to jump in there, some attorneys might say, well, I've tried a pre-printed, done for you newsletter. I'm not a fan of that. I am not a fan. I think it's got to have your personal touch in it. Your reader has to know that it's coming directly from you. And they do with me, because I'll write things in there that would have to come from me. And so, that's part of it. And so you'd say, what else? Well, you've seen The Power of a System, The Law Firm of Your Dreams. If anyone emails me, I'm happy to mail them signed copies of my books for free. These are books that I've spent so much time on. And I can tell you, what does it mean? What's the benefit of having a book? Well, so I go to a bit to the extreme on this one, because lots of lawyers have books, and there are these little guides. And honestly, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the little guides. I don't really think they have much value. But if you write the definitive text on the area of your practice, let's say it's driving DUI, driving under intoxication, right? You write the definitive book on how to handle this case. You become the authority in California on how to handle a DUI case. Then lawyers across the state and the country are going to start referring your work, because you're the authority on that topic. And so I write about marketing and managing a law firm because I'm passionate about it. I love writing about it. And I want to help other people with their practices. And if I get nothing out of it in terms of referrals, who cares? It's a labor of love, And so the reality is, I do get cases. People come to our mastermind and say, I just wanted to meet the person who wrote the book, The Power of a System. And that's cool. So I write the books. The books are a cornerstone, because companies like in South Carolina, they asked me to speak for the Chicago Title Insurance at their annual convention. And I'm like, all right, but I don't know anything about title insurance. Why would you ask me? And they said, well, we've read your book. We don't care. We'll figure it out, and we'll have you talk about something, right? And that book gives you gravitas that you otherwise would not have. So I really believe in books. I have a new book coming out this year called Win Today. And if anyone emailed me, I'd send them the manuscript of Win Today. It's basically done. It's going to be printed soon. And so that's what I do. I just keep writing content and delivering other people. And the most important lesson I've learned, I spent $10,000 for a meeting with one of the top marketing guys in the country. And it was an absolute waste of money, honestly. But at the end of the meeting, what he told me was that the people who make the most money in our society are the people who spend at least 50% of their time on business development, and without fail. And I know that that's true. And because I've seen it, the people who are, in court, like me, I go to court, I do depositions and things like that. But the people who make more money than me, those are the people who aren't doing those things. They're the people who are basically overseeing a legal empire. And there's nothing wrong with that, because every person's different. I love going to court. I love doing trials and stuff like that. Other people don't. So you have to figure out what makes most sense to you. But the one common denominator is if you spend 50% or more of your time doing business development, you will make a lot more money. Bottom line.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So John, your firm receives a referral from another attorney. Then what happens? Does a thank you card go out? What does that look like? Let's get into the specifics.
Well, number one, on day one, we would acknowledge the referral by email. Thank you for the referring. Here's what we're going to do next. That's number one. Number two, when I'll speak with the client, update. There's no such thing as over communication. So update, I spoke with the client, I reviewed the medical records. We're going to review the case with our surgeon sometime this week. Then the next email, I spoke with the surgeon. So being fanatical about over communicating with your referral partners is most important. Every little thing that you do to advance the case, you want to update the referring attorney. Now, I have never had an attorney say to me, you update me too much. This is ridiculous. Will you cut it out? They don't ask that, because whether they show appreciation or not, they do appreciate all of the updates, because no other law firm is doing this. I don't know anyone doing it. And so every single update. And so what happens, we do have rules of engagement that explain all of their rights. We will notify them when the lawsuit's filed. We will give them copies of our malpractice insurance policy. Basically, we will be fanatical about updating them. It's not just, most attorneys, I would say 90%, will simply notify the referring attorney when the case settles.
Right.
Here's a check. Thank you.
Right.
That's lame, because that's the minimum that you can do. And most attorneys say, this is a waste of time to update referring attorneys. No, it's not, because this is what will separate you from everyone else, is that you are fanatical about updating referring attorneys about the status of a referred case. And then you're having lunch with them, you're sending your monthly newsletter to them, you're sending signed copies of your books to them. You're doing speaking engagements where you're seeing a couple hundred people in Arkansas, or things like this, or AAJ, or the National Trial Lawyers. Wherever you go, you're constantly building relationships with other prominent, influential attorneys. So we do an event here that's called the Jury Project, and it's a focus group where we run it. And what we'll do is we'll run it for other law firms. Say, give us 2 hours of your time, we'll run a focus group of one of your cases. And they'll be like, I don't know about that. It's like, okay, well, it's free, no expense. We will invite the members of the jury, the community, they get to watch it. And what I've done is I've done this, and then some lower level associate attorney will show up at the focus group, and they'll go back to their boss and say, that was phenomenal. I got so much value. We learned so much from this focus group. And then the senior partner will be like, okay, I'll have lunch with Fisher. We'll have lunch. And then we start, once we have an opportunity, once we get our foot in the door, then there's no holds bar at that time. Because I do think we do a really good job in the way that we communicate. We're not perfect. We make mistakes, but our communication is better than anybody. And so that's what we can do better. And I really think that any attorney out there says, you know what, I'm the best at what I do, and people will hire me because of that. That's such crap. That is not true,
Right.
because the public doesn't know that. And frankly, other lawyers don't know that. So recently, an attorney came to me, and he was a medical malpractice defense lawyer. And it involved the death of a court law clerk, a judge's clerk. So it's a pretty prominent case. And I said to him, how come you chose my small firm over the big, prominent, prestigious law firm? And he goes, well, we didn't really know who to send it to, but we just like you better. And see, that's the thing. That is the most sophisticated consumer that's out there, because in insurance, a malpractice defense lawyer, he knows all the players in the malpractice world. He knows who's good and who's not good. And he chose us not because of our abilities at my firm, but because he likes me better than the other attorneys. And so what do you think the public is doing with this stuff? They don't know who's good and who's not. And if they see the heavy hitters in a TV ad, they're going to be like, okay, that they must be great. So the level of sophistication of the consumer is right down near the bottom, but no one is going to hire you if they don't know who you are and what you do. So constantly being out there, and going back to what we discussed before, young lawyer doesn't have any money. Well, start blogging, write a blog every day about something in your practice area. Do a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live video every single day. Start doing it. And what you'll see is over time, give it about 45 days and you'll be rocking it. People will call you from all over the place just because the consistency of what you're doing, they love that. So there's so many different things that you could do that won't cost anything. Now, let's say, okay, what else could we do that doesn't cost a penny? Write handwritten notes on stationery. Hey, congratulations on your verdict. I really follow you from afar and I think your work is great. Just want you to know that. Let's have lunch soon. Handwritten notes, nobody throws them away. Email's not nearly as effective. The more personal you can make it. Every time I go to lunch with another referring attorney, our client care advocate will send them a personalized gift. So for example, if they were on the diving team at Colgate University, they'll get a sweatshirt, Colgate diving team, with a hat from the diving team, something that's customized to them. So that's what we do. And I feel like the epiphany that I had as an attorney is realizing that our clients are not catastrophic injury victims, because a catastrophic injury victim will likely have one case in their lifetime, and they won't have any family members to refer. So if you get that one case, you're one and done. It's over. And there's not going to be any more work coming from that client. But the attorney who referred you that client is going to have case after case after case. So that can be a pipeline of new referrals for you, because let's say, for example, me in New York State, the biggest plaintiff's law firm in New York State, they don't do medical malpractice. So, but they spend millions on marketing. So what happens is they do the marketing, they get the malpractice leads, and they refer it to other attorneys who don't do, who do malpractice, like me. Spending the time to get to know these people, breaking bread with them, getting them in your pipeline with your monthly print newsletter, ideally a book, speaking engagements, focus groups. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
Now, one other example.
Yeah.
When my books come out, do I just say, hey, I've got a new book, everyone should like this? No, I have a party. So you want to have a party? Let's have a boat cruise on the Hudson River in New York State. And let's invite everybody to this boat cruise. And maybe 50 people show up. You have some music, you have a little bit of cocktails, you invite everybody, you have a blast. And now I think we're at the stage where people can do that again. So have a party. It's going to be fun. Now, let's say it's March Madness. One law firm I know, they'll have a March Madness for basketball party. Any reason you can have to have a party, a Christmas or a New Year's Eve party, something like that. Anything you can do to celebrate is good.
Yeah, good stuff. So, get them to know, like, and trust you, establish yourself as the authority, convey your caring, and that goes a long way. So you have a robust YouTube channel. Looks like you're regularly posting helpful videos, not only for prospective clients, but also, as you say, for other attorneys. Some of your recent videos, how we evaluate your malpractice case, how to find the right lawyer for your case. What's your approach to video and social media? Is it a sizable lead driver for the firm?
Well, I'll tell you something. We have not done a good job with YouTube until recently. So recently, what I did was I realized the consistency was just not there. So I started a streak, and I document the streak in a streaking journal. So every week I do at least one new video for YouTube.
You have quite a few up there now. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and so over time it builds. So for example, all the attorneys are so fascinated by shiny new objects when it comes to marketing, and they're always like, oh, we got to get Google reviews. How do we do that? And we'll spend $3,000 on software that will help us do it. It's like, no. Don't spend a penny on the software. All you need to do is one thing. And I have done this for, I think it's 545 consecutive days, 531 consecutive days. This is my streaking journal for Google reviews. I write a positive affirmation every day in the journal. And all I have to do for the streak is make at least one request for a Google review every day. And I've done that for 531 days. Our Google reviews have gone from 124 to 545 during the course of that streak. So if you streak like that, I mean, I don't have software for Google reviews. And I frankly, I think the software is not worth it. I think all you have to do is ask. And if you ask someone, about 20% of the time they will leave a review. So it's simply a matter of the numbers. The more you ask, the more reviews you get. And so that's what I do. I have a number. The book is called Streaking by Jeff and Jamie Downs. Highly recommended. I streak in my health every single day. I document what I eat, my exercise, the whole thing. As a result of that streak, I've went from 193.6 pounds to 165.4 pounds. So I've lost about 20 28 pounds.
Congratulations.
It's simply through the power of every single day documenting food consumption and exercise. That's all it is.
Yep.
Whatever you focus on, that's what you're going to get in life. In high school, I studied in Germany, but I lost my German. So I do a streak where I study at least one new word or phrase in German every day.
Wow.
And I'm starting to pick it back up. I'm starting to think in German again. It's crazy.
That's
But that's the power of streaking. And if you think, what is the one thing in your life that you really want to change? Let's say it's marketing. Okay, let's do at least one new video on YouTube every week. Doesn't have to be every day.
Right.
Let's do a print newsletter once a month, and just let's keep building the streak. And so once you start building it, the results keep adding up, and it's like, this is crazy. One other thing that I'd recommend is a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. That is a powerful way of keeping track of your streaks and your goals. So in my office, we do have a poster board. We have whiteboards that actually keep track of our streaks that are right behind me. We actually have a gong right here that we strike whenever we get a new referring attorney. So we're constantly trying to document, and here is a screen that we use to document the progress that we're making in our key performance indicators. So all of this stuff, the more granular you can get with billboards, whiteboards, and documenting everything that you can, the better. Because if you don't know what your desired goals are, then your team won't know either. And if you're not keeping track, then no one will know, and you're just like running around with your head off. So knowing exactly what your goals are, 527 referral partners, 545 Google reviews, 31 active lawsuits. Take like 5 numbers. So what are the 5 numbers that really matter most for your law firm? And those are numbers that not only need to be in your head, they need to be on a screen in your office. So we use a software called Radiant, where you can post from your computer laptop onto a TV screen, and then it blows it up for every computer screen in our office.
Nice, nice. I love that. So how are you asking for these Google reviews? Are you just emailing? Are you shooting text messages?
Well, here's the thing. I do shoot text messages. The more personal you can make it. So BombBomb is a software that we use in Colorado, and they will, you can add video, insert the video request right into the body of the email. It's a more personal way of doing it. So we do use BombBomb. And most importantly, I would say, is before you ask, if you have someone on the phone, ask them if they would be willing to leave a review. And if they say absolutely, you say, I'm going to send you an email with a link. All you have to do is click the link, post a review. You don't even have to write anything if you don't want. And that increases the likelihood if you ask and get them to verbally confirm that they will do it. So, but still, we only get about 20% success rate. So it's not ideal, but, still, if you just keep asking over time, you'll build up the reviews.
Are you only asking past clients, or are you asking referral sources, other partners?
Everybody. No, here's the secret sauce to this. Find the vendors who make money from your law firm and ask them. And 90% success rate vendors. So court reporters, videographers, courtroom illustrators, whoever makes money, expert witnesses, ask them. 90% success rate. Former clients, you could make $5 million for a client and they still won't post a review. It's crazy.
Right, right.
It doesn't make any sense. But some people just don't like leaving reviews, and that's okay. But I can tell you this. We get calls, we will listen to calls all the time, and people say, I'm calling your law firm because the reviews are incredible. And it's not just the quality of the reviews, it's the quantity. We have 545. And then if you do a Google review in our town, the next ones down are like maybe 20 or 30 or 40, something like that. Not a lot. They're just relying on chance to grow the reviews. And we're relying on streaking to grow the reviews. So they don't have a chance.
Right, right. The firm is very involved in the community. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, community involvement, I would say, is very important. So what we do is we do scholarships that are community-based. One is against drunk driving, and one is for suicide prevention. And we do pick a winner from that every year, and we have a $2,000 scholarship. So, and that does, like, social media, there's so many different things you can try that really will never gain traction on social media. But what does gain traction is when you do something that's altruistic for your community, or you highlight someone else in your community who's doing well. So for example, we do the drunk driving scholarship for a young 22-year-old guy who died from a drunk driver. It was really sad. We knew him. We posted our scholarship, and within about 48 hours, we had 350 shares of that one post, which I've never seen anything like that. So when you're promoting a cause that's bigger than yourself or your law firm, most lawyers just post like, here's what I'm doing today, and I just won this big lawsuit or something. No one cares about that. But post about things that are causes that are bigger than you, and that's where you'll get traction.
Good, good. So, John, before we wrap up, I always like to ask, if a lawyer watching only has time to adopt one, maybe two of the tips that you shared today, what would you recommend?
The weekly luncheons, without a doubt. I mean, hire someone to start scheduling luncheons for you. Be fanatical about eating lunch, having lunch with other attorneys who are prominent and can refer you new cases. If you just do that one thing, your practice will take off. If you did it consistently, that's the key. That's number one. Number two, whether you can afford it, a full-time marketing director or not, you want to have somebody on board who's at least virtual marketing director, who's guiding the future of your firm. Like, where are we spending money this week? What is the most important thing that we can do? It's marketing. That's it. Because you may be the greatest lawyer in your town, but it doesn't matter if people don't know how to find you. So make marketing the center of your law practice, and it will take off.
How are you kind of deciding on new marketing experiments? What does that process look like?
Well, 100% of it is lawyer referral. So a lot of the things that we have right now are already documented and sort of established, but we will try new things, and we will always try to push the envelope with doing things that are different. Like, for example, on our YouTube channel, we have one channel that's for consumers, one that's for lawyers, and then one that's for health and fitness. So people can go on there for whatever reason they want. But what I do is I'll say, lawyers, these are just for you. This is the channel about my best tips for marketing and managing. And so somebody goes on to, and by the way, we changed the name of our law firm. It went from being my name to the New York Injury and Malpractice Law Firm, PC, because New York started allowing trade names about 2 years ago. And I figured, what a great opportunity that is. And no other law firms, I mean, there's like just a few in New York State that are actually using trade names. So it's a golden opportunity, not just to build a brand, but for SEO purposes. If you've got New York malpractice and injury in the firm name on Google My Business, it's going to go way up everywhere. And consumers are going to be thinking, wow, that's a major law firm. But we're a small firm. We're just, we're a tiny firm in upstate New York who's just trying to kick butt and do the best we can. But by having that, it kind of brands us and gives us some gravitas that we didn't have before. So, those are the things, but pushing the envelope with other attorneys, doing like trade names, that would be one example. We're constantly trying to update, getting our team on board. That gong, we had 2 new referral attorneys last week. We strike the gong, we celebrate it. We do a little bit of a Facebook Live show about it, fun stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Okay, John, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today. It was a lot of fun learning from you. Thank you so much.
Of course. And if anyone wants to reach out and give me a call, my cell is 518-265-9131. You can call me anytime. I'll be happy to speak with you.
You're always so generous. Thank you, John. So there's so much we can learn from John. I see the main takeaways as one: weekly lunches are number one. Whether you have a new practice or you're a well-known veteran like John, lunching weekly with prospective referral sources is the single best way to both grow and maintain your referral network. And remember, a virtual assistant can handle the scheduling. Number two, over-communicating can distinguish your firm. So whether you're keeping referral partners informed or your clients informed, regularly conveying the steps you took to move the case forward will distinguish yourself from the competition. Number three, streaking works. Not that kind of streaking, of course, but rather documenting your progress, right? Whether you want to add Google reviews, grow your referral network, maybe lose weight, it works to journal regularly the steps you're taking to reach your goal. And number 4, it's never too late to brand. Since lawyers are just now sort of awakening to the power of using a brand name instead of their surnames, many opportunities exist to grab names that are either memorable or SEO friendly. Okay? Big thanks to John. He was super generous today. Everyone, join us for the next episode of the Grow with Cara show happening very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.